What in the... Where had I gone to now? Was this even real? And what about that disturbing dream in which my mysterious companion had set the Erd Tree aflame? It all felt so distant, and looking perplexed around, I saw something truly out of this world. Something which broke all the rules of nature I had believed to govern the lands between. This ruinous city floated majestically in the sky itself, and far above me dragons soared through thunderous clouds. Yet, despite the otherworldliness of it all, these buildings felt eerily familiar, and I could have sworn I'd seen these architectural patterns before, even if I couldn't quite place them yet. Wait, who was that? Sir, could you perhaps help a lost traveler out? I beg of you. Sir? Oh, just another withered corpse. Jumping down a couple of floating rocks, I couldn't help but wonder what I had done to get to this godforsaken place. While this ghastly domain was anything but appealing, it wasn't, however, entirely abandoned, and I soon entered a chamber packed with beastly warriors, preoccupied with things I'd rather not know of. I dealt with the vermin and began to explore my surroundings further, including an uncanny avenue where I benevolently had to spare yet another one of those endangered and noble animals. I'm gonna leave you be. Live long and prosper. What a temper. It was in one of the adjacent spaces, similarly infested with barbaric beasts, that I finally remembered. Because here, I noticed 3 curious sarcophagi with what seemed to be the dusty bones of those sword-wielding animals. And I was reminded of my first journey into cursed Caelid, so long ago. There, I had encountered a growling fiend in a room not unlike these, and studied strange pillars with petrified bones. What sort of culture had this been, and why the morbid obsession with bones? This had been a significant power in olden times, with a splendid metropolis which long ago had been annihilated by disastrous events. Just how vast the destruction must have been back then soon became clear to me as I stood flabbergasted in a most unreal open space, full of large fragments, buildings tumbling into each other, and slumbering dragons. It also dawned on me that I somehow had to make my way to the other side of this surreal ruin. So after equipping the 2 most vile hammers in my possession, I made sure to pummel every one of the strange phantoms haunting this area while slowly closing in on my destination. Everything was perpetually falling apart, and I wondered how many eons this crumbling vortex of a bygone culture would be locked in this state of disintegration. Eventually, I managed to get safely across that hellish void beneath the city. Alas, upon investigating the dark hallways nearby, I was surprised by the potency of the local knights. Sir, why are you acting this way? I'm your future ruler, goddammit. Below me was a grand chamber, outright reeking of ceremonial importance. Still, I felt like finding a slightly less bothersome approach. Footsteps? Oh well, this would do just fine after all. Slowly walking through this empty chamber of unknown origins, it was difficult not to feel the oppressive weight of a danger, yet to reveal itself. Him again, that bloody lover of other people's skin, and his disgusting cousin from that dark tower in Caelid. What a twisted pair. Up to their old tricks. I could already feel how this would become a joyous encounter, and indeed, it turned out to be just that. Returning to that magnificent... What? Why was it closed off? I ran down some nearby stairs, profoundly confused by this new development, only to find another wall of fog. But this one actually allowed me to enter. Why did everything, including the very principles of this sorry world, seem to crumple all around me? Of course, at that point, I already knew how the next couple of hours would unfold, and sure enough, those 2 inbreds, one obese, the other one tall as a tree, had their fair share of fun with me, doing their utmost to peel me like a sacrificial lamb. Still, I had apparently changed in the wake of the horrendous encounter with the alluring Lady of Rot up north. I'd somehow become a different man, less prone to sulking and emotional outbursts. Because of that strange development, I wasn't really affected by their bothersome attempts to crush my soul. And before long, I had figured them out. How pathetic. This was barely worth the sweat. By the end of that unsportsmanlike skirmish, I had bested them both and obtained more of their strange powers, as well as another one of those curious bells the husky maidens at the Roundtable Hold were so fond of. I had to go back. My instincts told me that I would need whatever help I could get for the last part of my journey, and maybe, just maybe, that tender maiden offering those sweet embraces would have returned by now. What had happened? The stronghold flickered with embers, and the air was full of smoke. A fire had caused this. Even worse, it was so hot in here that it was difficult to breathe.
Take a look around.
I see it.
The Roundtable Hold is burned, razed to the ground.
Who did this?
Don't worry. I don't blame you.
Excuse me?
I'll continue spiritually.
Why would she say that? Oh God, the dream. Had it been real?
I need your help persuading Master Hugh to leave. His roots are so knotted in this place. He won't last much longer if he stays here. His shackles are broken. He's a free man now. It's high time he put the Round Table behind him.
Terrified by the implication of her words, I hurried across the warm stone floor, seeking out haughty Gideon. If anyone would know for certain, it would be him.
You burned the Erd tree, didn't you?
What in the... She actually did it! By the gods. It hadn't been a dream after all.
The Roundtable Hold served to put a Tarnished upon the throne of Elden Lord.
I left that power-hungry scholar to his obscure schemes. But before leaving the safety of the stronghold, perhaps for good this time, I had to make sure I would remember this uneasy space of ambivalent camaraderie. The hideous smithing master, however, didn't strike me as particularly pleased with his new freedom.
I'll smith as long as you like. Now,
He was broken.
lay out your own.
Doing my best to ignore his quivering voice, I made sure to pay that filthy and finger-loving granny one last visit.
You've done it, I see.
Indeed.
Do as you please.
Oh, I will. You despicable wench. I hope you'll die in pain. You and that hairy lover of yours. I was done with the stronghold, and would now leave Gideon and the others. Forever. Back at those enigmatic ruins in the clouds, I braced myself to embark on the final part of my journey, and allowed myself to wonder what lands Alexander was currently traveling through. His quest for manliness was unnecessary, but the male psyche was apparently cursed with a deep and muddy lake of self-loathing, and a longing for validation, often through terrible ordeals of combat. With my destination so close at hand, I began searching for a viable path, preferably one which wouldn't lead to yet another gravity-related death. Still, this ravaged city forced me to perform uncivilized acrobatics and offered quite a few opportunities to harvest even more glory. If I were thus inclined, that is. Which I wasn't. Because, at the end of the day, violence only begets violence, and not everyone deserves to be dispatched like common thugs. Go away, sir, I forgive you. Unfortunately, what awaited me, after benevolently pardoning that lone knight, was a fairly tiresome journey through a hellish stretch of land, plagued by lethal hawks, and a dragon doing its very best to fry me with lightning. In the end, I was fortunate enough to find my way to that grand bridge, and as I entered a magnificent plaza, my suspicion was confirmed. It was indeed the ancient center of this unreal city. Oh dear, it was coming this way. Oh God, I'd met that menacing thing before, hadn't I? I might have evolved during these last few months of my journey, but this brutish creature wasn't just strong. It was also exceedingly fast, and it turned out that the tactics I had used until now lacked a certain finesse. Simply put, I was too slow for this horrid beast, and everything I did felt belated. After several failed attempts, I got tired of that freak of nature. Yet I refused to blame myself for my I can see that now. Embarrassing lack of situational awareness. I wasn't to blame for the fact that this encounter didn't work out in my favor. Who could deal with this abomination, cursed as it was with such speed and foul breath? I decided to give that monstrosity a little more time before ending it. After all, my mysterious companion had already set the Erd Tree aflame, and the enormity of our decision made everything else pale in comparison. So I allowed myself some relief and piously chose to explore the rest of this majestic and ruinous city. In the hours that followed, I pondered the meaning behind the quaint architectural ideas that had originally shaped this place, and eventually found myself in a remote area, terrorized by those beast warriors I had first come across back when I... What? Had I gone mad? Was that Alexander standing yonder? It was. What was he doing around these parts? Don't you dare approach him, you filthy animals! Such a happy coincidence. Who would have thought I would meet my only living friend in this decrepit city? The brave warrior who would become my trusted advisor and help me turn this hellish world into a realm of kindness and jolly cooperation. But it wasn't until I faced him that it struck me. Something was off about the whole situation.
Ah, I see you finally made it here yourself. The city hanging in the air is slowly crumbling. What an incredible place we find ourselves.
Indeed, my friend.
But that aside, I can't believe you felled that giant. It was practically a god. I doubt there's another soul out there who could have done the same. Of course, I count myself, the great Alexander, among the many, which means I've but one thing to ask of you. Would you kindly undertake my ordeal?
What?
Come and tell me when you're ready. I've been longing to fight a warrior as accomplished as you.
Surely he didn't mean what I thought he meant. This couldn't be right. It had to be spoken in jest. Right?
You are ready then, I take it?
Please, don't.
Then let us begin.
No, friend.
I am the great Jar
What are you doing?
warrior,
Stop it.
Iron Fist Alexander. Lend me strength to warrior.
Please don't!
Let us become one champion together.
Become together. But I don't want to be eaten. Oh God, no. What had I done?
As I suspected, victory was impossible. This vessel was found lacking.
The world is lacking. Not you, my beautiful friend.
My thanks. I knew you were the stuff of champions. It was a marvelous battle. I implore you, take what I bequeath from inside me. All vessels are destined to one day break.
I began to sob.
But the great Alexander lived as a warrior to his last.
You sure did. In the ensuing silence, I somehow felt hollow. Nothing remained in this desert of the real except for the parasitic Erd Tree, which had once again devoured what little goodness was left. And then, something deep inside me stopped. A rusty wheel of hope halted its movement and didn't turn anymore. Cold flames began to smolder in my now barren heart, and without even realizing it, I had made my way through the crumbling ruins and found myself entering that grand plaza once again. But this time, with nothing in my heart but an icy longing for annihilation and extinction. The rabid dog wasn't a match for me this time. The truth of the matter was that the entire skirmish unfolded like in a dream. I still wanted him dead, gone and burned, but my passion went far beyond that freak. It turned out that the brute was far more fragile than one would assume upon first inspection. The disgusting hound was clearly getting desperate, but that wouldn't save its hide. And it didn't. Even as he jumped manically through the air and did his best to dazzle me with many-colored spectacles, I made sure that the disgruntled beast was put down, like the mad dog it was. Once again, I found myself eerily floating outside of my own body, but this time I knew that I wasn't merely dreaming. I was having a sacred vision, saw flames erupt from within an ancient darkness. and witnessed with my own eyes what was being done to the lands between. I saw soldiers staring in disbelief at the burning Erd tree, along with servants and animals. And then, darkness came for me. The strangely familiar sensation of being blind and adrift in this indifferent world of hurt took over, and I journeyed through that peculiar darkness found within. When I opened my eyes again, I realized that I'd been brought back to the grand capital beneath the Erd tree, but nothing had prepared me for the sight that met me there. Everything had changed, and the once glorious cosmopolis had become ashen. One could even see how its magnificent towers had been all but drowned by ashes from that diseased Axis Mundi looming in the sky above the city. I knew exactly what to do, who to seek out in the damp underground beneath, where no one dared disturb the sound of silence, and which way to go. The pain from losing Alexander had driven me into the depths below. Still, seeing none other than Gideon here appalled me. But it didn't matter. Considering how he treated his own daughter, the world would be better off without him as well. Yet he was scheming something.
I knew you'd come to stand before the Elden Ring, to become Elden Lord. What a sad state of affairs. I commend your spirit, but alas.
Let's hear it.
None shall take the throne. Queen Marika has high hopes for us.
Is that so?
That we continue to struggle. Unto eternity.
How did that even make any sense? And what devilry had he just cast upon me? Sadly, my frenzied burst of hatred allowed him to make a fool out of me with his ancient sorceries and abhorrent tricks of the mind. That, combined with his utterly loathsome demeanor, made me grab the finely ornamented greatsword, the very one I had discovered so long ago in the wake of my birth into this decrepit world, and I made him fly like an eagle. You like that, friend? You want more, I take it? Here you go. Tell me if it bothers you. By all means, let me know. I would like to hear you cry out in pain. Up you go. Finally, I got that obnoxious fella.
In my bones, a Tarnished cannot become a lord.
Wait, why was he still mouthing off?
Not even you.
Would he never stop talking?
A man
Oh God, that would be torture.
cannot kill
Hold your tongue!
a god.
Finally, he was done with his ghastly stream of nonsense. After once again returning to the bridge littered with dried and long-dead pilgrims, I rested for a brief moment in the shadows of that grand bedchamber I had visited once before. This was it. I was at long last back at that damned Erd tree, which was now burning, even if it still towered in the sky like a parasitic monument of despair. Unsure about who exactly would greet me now, I entered the shimmering wall of fog as I felt the waves of heat from above me. What I hadn't expected, however, was the deafening silence that met me. A nobly clad individual stood at the far end, with some sort of spirit close by.
It's been a long while, Morgoth.
What was he doing with that hideous corpse? I couldn't see anything from where I stood, but my curiosity was ignited. Had they been lovers?
Be assured, the Elden Ring resteth close at hand.
Did I know this elderly gentleman with wrinkled skin from somewhere?
Alas, I am returned.
He somehow looked awfully familiar. And that spirit around his neck, was that a lion?
To be granted audience once more.
Oh shit.
Upon my name as Godfrey, the first Elden Lord.
Oh God. I remembered where I'd seen him before. I slowly approached a vivid painting of what must have been a great king. Even more impressive was the glorious lion watching over him. The legendary heroes of this world had, this much was certain, been larger than life. He was really alive, and this time not merely a phantom. Now that was just great. The old man, who clearly had seen better days and was held tightly by his pet lion, was mocking me. That hadn't been a noble fight at all. To make things even worse, the withering old lord using that esoteric endurance enhancer around his neck made the earth itself shake. And it swallowed me. More times than I care to remember. Eventually, though, I figured him and his rude patterns out, and made that pesky lord who stubbornly refused to retire pay for his insolence. But his imperial body, marked by age as it was, must have been out of this world in ancient times. The lion, wanting to protect its master, was about to transcend time and space.
That will be all. Thou didst me good service, Sirach.
Oh, that was adorable. I take that back.
I've given thee courtesy enough.
By the gods, when had he been working out? Something pivotal had happened to him.
Now I fight just Horaloo. Warrior!
So the noble lord was merely a big-boned ruffian? Wait, what are you doing? Please don't! That vulgar bully kept showing off his meaty muscles and roared like an animal in heat. Ah! He was hands-on like no other monstrosity I'd ever encountered. Stay away, you perv! And he just kept pummeling me with what certainly was a peculiar passion. He was clearly enjoying himself a bit too much. This skirmish didn't feel entirely platonic. Yet in spite of his suspiciously intimate manhandling of me, I wasn't deterred. For I carried the fire within. Fire of the righteous, the fire with which I would purify this diseased land. And that made all the difference.
Tarnished. Thy strength befits a crown.
The path was open. The thorns had indeed been burned, just as my mysterious companion had told me they would be. I only wished that she were here now, and wondered whether I would ever see her again. My future wife was nowhere to be found, and truth be told, the prolonged courtship felt like a distant dream. Had our love perchance grown cold? I didn't feel lust nor longing. I felt only one thing, how the flame of vengeance burned within me. I was ready. There was nothing but white all around me. Then finally colors appeared, as I seemingly stepped out of thin air just below a horrendously disfigured individual, strung up by the arms. It was a woman, murdered in some distant past. She still bore beautiful long blonde hair even in death, but her corporeal remains were also fractured and impaled by a reddish spear. She had been forced into a posture reminiscent of the statues found in the crumbling churches. Oh God. What now? Whatever had held her corpse suddenly disintegrated, and she fell. But what followed wasn't a lifeless shell. Instead, a strong and fiery arm grabbed a hammer, and the woman I had thought to be dead slowly rose to her feet. What the? Her hair changed color. Wait, she was a man now? I was so confused. Wait a moment. I had seen that fellow before. Then the redhead, sharing the sadly deteriorated physical state of the blonde corpse, was all over me. Even more curious was the surprising amount of force, his fractured condition considered. But despite his fierce attempts to hold me back, I was burning with a fire of vengeance. Compared to the ungodly trials suffered in the Haligtree, this crumpling man of decomposition was no match for me. At that point, I realized that something else was behind this broken vessel. And sure enough, beneath the fractured redhead, an immense and otherworldly arm with veins glowing gold slowly rose. With a beastly hand, it grabbed the corpse and pushed it down unto hidden depths. In those dark waters of change, the creature transformed the fragmented flesh of the broken shell into a sacred and mighty sword. Gods, was that his ribs? Thus the gruesome riddle behind it all revealed itself. That thing beneath the surface of the rot-infested waters of reality had arrived. As a soft and translucent mountain of power, it towered above me, wordlessly shouting some cosmic war cry. This was it, after what felt like a lifetime of searching. I had now come upon the behemoth itself, the parasitic abomination responsible for it all. In the ensuing battle, I all but forgot myself and drowned in a sea of frenzied aggression. The beast tried to burn me, then did its best to squash me under its immense weight. And finally, sensing that its time was nigh, it fled to a safe distance and sent golden projectiles up into the air. What the? God, that was annoying. And as if that wasn't enough, it performed a strangely beautiful dance in the starlit sky above me. But just like devious beasts in the animal kingdom lay traps for lesser creatures, the obese dancer was capturing my attention so it could cut me with waves of gold. It kept at it, increased its vile ranged attacks with even more exhausting manifestations, but to no avail, because it was about to meet its fate. As I shouted Alexander's name, with the otherworldly beast gone, I was returned to the vast and timeless space within the Erd Tree. There was only me and a broken shell. But even this deep inside of that monumental organism, currently being consumed by flames, I somehow knew that I only had to think of my blue-skinned mistress in order to make the marriage a reality. I had come to the end of my journey, and she was waiting. But my heart had grown cold, and it became clear to me that her path was different from mine. Instead, I felt the flames of vengeance scorch my soul and began to hear the voices of dear friends, both long and recently deceased. This sickly world had been corrupted to its very core, and the untold cries of innocent victims plagued me now more than ever. There she was, poor, blind and innocent Irina, killed by bandits and left to rot by the side of the road. And her proud father, maddened by grief, lost himself in the abyss of despair. And what about gentle and kind-hearted Thops? The fragile soul had sought nothing but wisdom and knowledge, only to be assassinated by his so-called peers. And poor Millicent, who, even when liberated from the torment of rot, chose to dissolve into nothingness. And there was warm Boggart, that crude criminal, who miraculously sweetened by the darkness of time spent in prison, was thrown into a pit of hellish torture before dying. But worst of all was sweet Alexander, that brave and ever so generous soul, who was meant to be my right hand in the empire of kindness I had begun to envision. All those gentle creatures, lost in time, like tears in rain, gone in the eternity of eternities. This nightmare had to stop. The infernal hell that was the lands between needed to be cleansed, just like the Erd Tree. It was within my power. I knew what had to be done, because as I stood naked in front of the door beneath the capital, none other than Alexander had come to me. Down there in the darkness, inches from the frenzied flame, which promised sweet annihilation, my friend reminded me that mortality was nothing to dread.
All vessels are destined to one day break.
And made me realize that I had to come to terms with the loss inherent in existence.
One cannot cleave to the past.
But that didn't mean I was forbidden to honor the fallen ones, nor that it would lead to nihilistic agony. The victims of this world would be avenged, with order, kindness, and a library of memories that would last eons.
The fallen leaves tell a story.
A story about suffering.
Of how a Tarnished became Elden Lord.
And accepting the pain.
In our home, across the fog, the lands between.
That silent and enigmatic space within.
Our seed will look back upon us and recall an age of fracture.
A blessed fracturing of despair. What is this? Is this a joke?